Welcome back to the Hot Rod Dave YouTube channel. Today we're working on my daughter's 2008 Acura RDX. It's got an inline 4-cylinder turbo, has a check engine light on. We need to resolve that because we need an emissions test so we can renew our tags for this year. So we're going to dive in with a scan tool, see why that check engine light's on, because if your check engine light's on, you're not going to pass emissions. You've got to have that check engine light off and your drive cycle monitors reset before the emissions test will go through in the great state of Georgia, at least. I think that's federal wide. Might be different in California or something like that, but in our county, and you have to have an emissions test in order to renew your tags for the year. That's the only inspections you have to have, but that's what we have to have here in this state. So we're going to dive in, see what's going on, and see if we can get this problem resolved. Okay, so the Autel is my favorite scan tool. This is a little one you can buy just about anywhere. I think I picked this one up off Amazon. I've got a great big one that's very, very expensive. That it's a Bluetooth wireless deal that I used for many, many years running my shop. But it is suffered a problem and it needs to be fixed, and I just haven't had time to send it in and get it repaired. So I bought this one just for basically just reading and resetting codes, checking you know, the minor things. This is a pretty cheap one. I can't remember how much I paid for it. It was less than $200 if I remember right. I've had this thing for a little while, but it works fine, and we're going to dive into this and see what the code is. Okay, so if you don't know, on your dashboard, most cars, the OBD2 connector for your data link for your scan tool is up under the dash on the left side. Some of them are in different places. Sometimes in the old days, this stuff came out in '96 with these data link connectors, these OBD2 ports. Let me turn this key on, turn the ignition on. Some of them were in the center console. Shut this door. Some of them were in the center console. Most of them are up under the left side of the dash. Some of them are hidden under a panel that pops off. Some of them are right there sticking down. This one is just right there sticking down. It's easy to find. So if you buy yourself a scan tool, it doesn't have to be the Autel, but this, I highly recommend this brand. I'm not sponsored by them by any means, but would like to be. This is a good tool. They do sell really, really cheap code readers. Even Autel's got cheaper ones than this, I think, for less than $100. So get on Amazon or something, the internet, Google it, you can find something cheap. Local parts store will probably have something. It's good to have a scan tool. That way you don't have to go down to the parts store and then go off their recommendations. And they're always going to try to sell you something that you might or might not need. Okay, so we're going to dive into this thing. See if that'll rest right there. So we've already selected OBD2. We're going to select, we're going to hit OK. And the cooling fans run with this thing automatically when you turn the ignition on. I don't know if that's normal or not. Okay, so we're gonna yes on that. We're gonna check the engine. We're gonna read the codes. And we've got a P0325 knock sensor, 1 circuit bank 1 or single sensor. This thing's only got 1 knock sensor to my knowledge, and that's the only code we've got. So I've already gone through the steps on this deal. Let me turn this ignition off. I've already gone through the steps and did a little bit of reading. A quick Google search, you can find that that's a common problem on these cars, and it's a knock sensor. So what I've done, went down to the local auto parts store, went to the O'Reilly's, also not a sponsor, got their little import direct deal. It's a part number 17-0819 knock sensor, and we're going to install this thing and see if we can't get this thing to pass emissions, get the light reset and get her to pass for us. All right, so we're going to pop this top cover off. We're going to pop this top cover off just to give us a little more access here, because we're going to be looking through the hole of the intake right there. So you just about a half a turn on these, and this cover just pops off. That's the intercooler for the turbo system, and as you can see, it's covered in bugs. We need to clean that thing off. We might just do that before we put that cover back on. So basically, I'll show you where this is located. If on the left side, or it's the right side of the car, if I'm looking at it, it's the left side, but it's, you're always going left and right on a vehicle by sitting in the driver's seat. So this is actually the right side of the intake manifold. I'm going to show you. Okay, so if you look through this hole down here, you're going to be able to see the sensor. You're probably not going to be able to see it real well in this lighting. So let me see if I can't put a light under it and where you can see. Okay, so I stuck a light under there. If you can see, I want to point straight down to it with the screwdriver there. That's your knock sensor. That's straight down there. So let's see if I can reach my hand under there. You see where my finger's at? That's pointing straight at it. There's a connector right there, and the sensor's right inside. Easier to get a few things out of your way. Now I can probably turn into a contortionist and get my wrist in there and get to that thing, but I might cut myself to pieces. So I'm probably going to pull this expansion tank out for the coolant radiator, for the radiator, and probably going to pull this coolant fan out. So these normally have a little push pin like this, a little push rivet, a little trim rivet. But we have it. We lost it and put a zip tie on it a while back, and it holds fine. But so we're going to cut that little zip off, and we're going to have to pop these little 4 or 5 rivets out, which I'll show you how to do. It's super simple with a flathead screwdriver, so we can lift this panel up, so we can get to. We've got to take this bracket out so we can get the fan out easier. And there's 2 10mm holding that bracket on. And then we'll take the fan out, which is 2 10mm, and then there is a electrical connector. You see that connector right there, right here? We're gonna have to unplug that, which I might as well do while I'm down there, so we can lift the fan out. All right, so we'll cut that zip tie off of there. Slide the hose off the radiator, off the little holder, and your expansion tank will slide right out. Did it all one-handed. All right, so we're going to take a little flathead screwdriver, and you just wiggle that little clip up, and they pop right out. Try not to lose them. I obviously lost that one on a previous repair. So we'll take all these out. Like I said, you got 1, 2, that one's already out, 3, 4, 5. Your expansion tank out of the way, you can, and your rivets out, your plastic rivets out, you can lift this up and get these 2 10mm right here, so you can get this little bracket off, so you can easily slide the fan out once you pull these 2 10s out. I opted to use a gear wrench. You can use a small socket if you'd like. I just thought with the clearance it would be easier if I put the wrench on the right way too. This thing is jamming up too. What's wrong with this wrench? You put a little oil on that thing. Stuck a little penetrating oil on it. Now it's spinning. I don't know why it's locked up. Again, you got to put it on the right direction. And I'll get it one of these days. All right. I love these gear wrenches. They're so easy to get into tight spots. You can't get a socket in easy. Set that bolt down there. And this is definitely something you can do in your driveway. I did bring it in the shop. I was going to do it in the driveway, and it was cloudy this morning, but the sun came out. And hey man, this is mid-July in Georgia. It gets hot quick, so there's a little fan noise in the background because it's already 80 something in the shop. About 85 degrees in the shop. It'll probably be 95 before we're done. Alright, so that bracket's out of the way. Now we want to pop our tins out on our fan. Way dummy. We've already unplugged the electrical connector, as you saw earlier. I've had these fans out before, so we had to put a radiator in this thing. I think I made a video on that. We've also put a starter in this. I don't know if I made that video or not. I think I did. So once you get those two tins out, this radiator coolant fan just slides right out. Slides right out. All right, excuse my mess back there. We need to take out the garbage. Okay, all right, let's go back to it. We're gonna need to get back down into this hole and unplug this connector. Now we can get our hands down in it a lot easier. It's still, you're still in a little bit of a awkward position, but we'll make it, with the fan out of the way, it's gonna make it a lot easier in that overflow tank. Okay, so I ended up getting a 3/8 extension because I can't find my 6-inch, half-inch drive extension for some reason. A lot of my half-inch stuff is missing. I don't know where it went. It's in this shop somewhere, I'm sure. So I had an adapter from 3/8 to half in my 1 16th socket, and 3/8 drive fits. I just did a little test fit. Let's see if I can just get this light down in there. So you just go straight in. The light, you can see what's going on in there. There is a wiring harness kind of in the way. It's got a clip on it. You just pop the clip if it's still secured. Go in there like so. These don't require a lot of tension. So it should pop right out for you, fairly easy. All right, there you go. There's the OE knock sensor. For some reason it went bad. I'm not real sure why. So we'll just take the new one. Drop it back to my socket. It's a hard reach into there. Oh, the wire harness just got back in my way. I'm basically looking through, I am looking through this hole in the intake just to try to catch a glimpse of this thing, because, whoops. Try to thread it in without cross-threading it in. So I'm just going to gently spin this and let the threads do the work. Hopefully they'll do the work, because it's not grabbing. I'm gonna have to try to do it by hand. Ugh. Alright, it's gonna fight me. Let's see if I can't reach in there with my hand. Just block the light on my arm. I can see my hand in the sensor, but I can't see the hole. Get in there. There we go. It's threading in now. Oh. You definitely have to be a contortionist to work on cars sometimes. You have to figure out how to feel with your fingers and bend your wrists and fingers in ways that they aren't meant to be bent sometimes. Alright, so we've got that thing finger tight, and I'm just going to snug it up. There probably is a torque procedure for this. I'm sure there is. I don't know it. And so I'm just going to give it a good snug. Don't want to over tighten it because you can break them. That's good. And that's it. You just reverse the procedures and put everything back together. We'll clear the code and go drive it. And you've got to drive. Once you clear your check engine light, you've got to drive the vehicle. Sometimes it takes several times. Sometimes you can get it to go through in one spot. I can show you that on the scan tool. There's drive cycle monitors that as you drive, the car's testing different sections of the car, the fuel system, the ignition system, things like that as you're going down the road. Sometimes they're very stubborn on running. Sometimes you have to have the fuel at about between a quarter and 3/4 of a tank of gas. So if it's really low on fuel, it won't run the proper test. And if it's too much fuel, it won't run the proper test on some cars for like the evap system, which pressurizes the gas tank and checks for leaks, for vapor leaks. All those little tests have to run through, and they do them randomly. Some vehicles you can force them through if you know the procedures, and I'm sure you can Google those and find those online if you're having trouble getting it to go through. But if you don't go through, I think all but 2 tests, it won't pass emissions. So, and you also want to drive it to make sure your check engine light's not going to come back on, because if it does, you're definitely not going to pass. Alright, so get it plugged back up. It's plugged in. Good to go there. Grab the fan. The fan has these little fingers on it. There's a slot down there for them to slide into. It's 2 little plastic tabs that are on the bottom of the radiator. So those will just easily slide into those little grooves. And you can lift it back up and put your tins in. Top of the radiator. Alright, so that is secure. Now we want to reach down and plug our wiring back up. So our fans come back on. That's very important. The coolant reservoir has a little tongue and groove deal. So this just goes into this bracket right here. Slides in just like that, and plug your hose back up. Not a bad time to check the coolant level. Looks good. And so we have put a radiator in this car, a starter, an alternator. Oh, I gotta put the bracket back on. That's important. That holds our little coolant reservoir there. This is literally something you can do in about 20 to 30 minutes, especially if you got your tools organized and you're not fumbling around for an extension like I was. Very easy to do. Save yourself. This ratchet messing up again. What is wrong with this thing? I must have a bad spot in the gearing. I've had them for a long time. Put a couple drops of penetrating oil on the mechanism. May have been easier with a socket, to be honest with you. If you've got like a quarter drive, 10 millimeter, it might be easier to do that. Hello. As long as this bolt. Alright, find me a zip tie and zip tie that back, put my rivets back in. I need to buy a bunch of these. They're very handy to have in the toolbox if you're working on cars on a regular basis, because they break real easy. You'll drop them, lose them, and more often they just break. They just get plastic, it's brittle, and they fall apart. See? Sometimes they're a royal pain. Usually they just pop right in. Usually all right. So I need to buy me a bag of those rivets. They've got all kinds of stuff now. I mean, you can find this hardware real easy. Like before, you'd have to go to the dealership and order it half the time. But now you can find it online real easy. Okay, I don't know if you can see that screen or not in this camera. Sometimes they show up, sometimes they don't. So basically, when you go in, you don't want to have it running. Some cars you can clear with it running, but most of the time you can't. So just turn the key into the run position. We've already read the code, so we're going to go in and erase the code. Erase trouble codes, are you sure? Yeah, I'm sure. Hit OK. Freeze frame data will reset. Yeah, that's what we want. All right, so the codes have been erased. And then you go in, we'll go ahead and crank it back up so the batteries don't die because this fan runs all the time. I'm sure there's a problem there, probably a coolant temp sensor problem or something, making the fans run. So with this little scanner, you can go in and read live data. I'll show you that real quick if anybody's interested. If so, you know, thanks for watching, and hit that subscribe button and hit the like button if you can. It takes just a second to pull the data list up. Yeah, we're going to see the data. You can make a custom list, I believe. Let's see, you got engine coolant temp sensor, map, RPM, which comes from the crank sensor most likely, or the cam sensor, spark advance. I don't know if you can see the knock sensor through this live data list or not. Doesn't look like it. it's not a big deal anyway. So, okay, so go down to this I am readiness, and that's going to show you your adaptives, your drive cycle monitors. This driving cycle, I'm going to say since clear, because I just cleared it. We haven't even driven it yet. Okay, so all these that say okay, I've already ran. The one that say incomplete have not. So that's the catalytic converter. That's the evaporative emissions. That's for your fuel tank. O2 sensors have not ran. I don't even see the NOx sensor in here. So it may be combined with the fuel or the ignition. Here, battery died. Battery died while I was filming that. All right, so I recharged the camera, and I got the scanner hooked back up still. We had a massive rainstorm too, so I had to go in the house. I mean, it was popping and thundering bad. Heavy winds and rain. But anyway, I'm gonna go drive this thing and see if I can't get all these incompletes to go okay. I think we got a couple of okays from just what we did before. So we've got one incomplete there, one incomplete there, and we've got 3 incompletes. I think for 2002 and up vehicles, you can have it's either 1 or 2 incompletes and it'll still pass emissions. I have to Google it. I can't remember. It's been a while since I ran my shop and had to deal with this on a regular basis. Yeah, it's easy to Google, but I think it's 2. I think you can have 2 incomplete and it'll still pass emissions for 2002 and up. I think from like 96 to 2002, you could have 3, I think. I don't remember. Anyway, so I'm going to go drive it, and maybe I'll Google that and add that in the next little clip. All right, let me go drive it, and we'll look at the scanner one more time, then we'll be done. So I Googled it in Georgia, which is the state I'm in. For vehicles 2000 and newer, you can have 1 incomplete readiness monitor and still pass the emissions test, with the exception of the evaporative monitor, which can be incomplete on vehicles 2000 and newer. For vehicles 1996 through 1999, you can have 2 incomplete readiness monitors and still pass, according to the BMW 3 Series forum. I know this is not a BMW, but that's pretty much general rule of thumb. So we have everything is okay now, except for the evaporative, which I've got highlighted in blue right there. It is incomplete still, but it'll pass. And then everything else is good. So we have fixed the problem, solved the problem, and go get the emissions test now, but it's about 4 o'clock on Saturday afternoon, so they're closed, so we can't do that today. But my daughter can do it on Monday and go get the tag renewed. We have a kiosk at the Kroger shopping grocery store, and you can scan your tag receipt that comes in the mail to renew your tags and pay through the kiosk without having to go to the tag office, which is pretty nice. It does charge you a fee for running your debit card or credit card, and a convenience fee, which kind of sucks, but if you used cash at our tag offices, it's cheaper. They charge you like 2% or something to use a credit card on top of the dollar amount. So cool. I think we fixed this thing, and I hope y'all learned something, got something. If so, please give me the thumbs up, share it, and hit the subscribe button. Check out my other videos and other playlists. We've got over, at this point in the stage in the game, we've got over 900 videos. Please check it out. Thanks for watching. Have a good one. Peace.